silent pain of a sexless marriage. There's a silent crisis happening in thousands of marriages. A man goes to hug his wife. She stiffens. He tries to kiss her. She pulls away. When he reaches for intimacy, the response is a frustrated and in that moment, he feels something deeper than rejection. He feels unwanted. Over time, many men stop trying. They stop touching. They stop speaking about it. And that's the moment a marriage quietly begins to die. Today I want to talk honestly about something many couples avoid. What really happens when intimacy disappears in marriage. The silent pain many men carry. There's a man sitting across the dinner table from you. He looks normal. He goes to work. He provides. He asks how your day was. But inside, he's hurting. And the truth is, you might be completely unaware of how much pain he's in. Part of the reason is his fault. He hasn't been direct enough about how deeply this affects him. But part of the reason is harder to admit. You don't want to see his pain, because when he has tried to talk about it, the conversation often gets shut down with one sentence. All you want is sex. That sentence infuriates him, not because sex doesn't matter, but because it completely misses the point. If all he wanted was sex, he wouldn't still be here. He wouldn't still be trying. He wouldn't still be sitting at that table. What he wants is connection. What he wants is affection, to feel wanted by the woman he chose to spend his life with. When rejection becomes the new normal, but slowly, something changes. You begin pulling away from the small things too. The hug becomes stiff. The kiss becomes quick. A polite push-off kiss. The message becomes clear. Don't linger. At some point, he stops trying, not because he doesn't care, but because rejection hurts. So he adapts. He accepts this as his new normal. A marriage without intimacy. A marriage without desire. And little by little, he begins to detach. This is the stage where many men emotionally check out, and very often, it's the point where they eventually leave. What does really mean? Sometimes when a man reaches for intimacy and hears that frustrated, it isn't just about that moment. That sound can carry a lot of meaning. It might mean she feels pressured. It might mean she's frustrated because the subject keeps coming up. It might mean her desire has faded due to stress, resentment, or emotional distance. Or it might mean there are deeper issues in the relationship that have never been addressed. But here's the part many people miss. For many men, sex is not just physical. It represents three things: feeling desired, feeling connected, and feeling accepted by the person they love. So when the response is dismissal or disgust, it doesn't just feel like sexual rejection, it feels like personal rejection. Why sexless marriages happen. Many men assume intimacy disappears because their wife simply lost interest in sex. But the reality is usually more complicated. For many women, sexual desire is deeply connected to emotional state, safety, and unresolved resentment. For many men, however, sex is the gateway to emotional connection, and that creates a hidden conflict in many relationships. Men often think, if we had more sex, we'd feel closer. Women often think, if I felt closer, I'd want more sex. So both people wait for the other one to move first, and that stalemate slowly kills intimacy. The three hidden killers of intimacy. Number 1, resentment. Unspoken resentment is one of the biggest killers of desire. If someone feels emotionally unheard or overwhelmed in the relationship, sexual desire can shut down. Sex begins to feel like an obligation instead of something joyful. And many couples never talk about these resentments. The bedroom quietly dies. Number 2, the pursuer and withdrawer cycle. This happens in many marriages. The man begins pursuing intimacy more often because it is disappearing. The woman feels pressured and withdraws. The more she withdraws, the more he pursues. The more he pursues, the more she withdraws. Eventually, both partners feel misunderstood. Number 3, loss of mystery. Early relationships contain excitement, playfulness, and curiosity. But over time, couples can become roommates. Life becomes about bills, responsibilities, children, and routine. Romance slowly disappears. Without novelty, attraction can fade. The dangerous turning point, when men in their 50s experience rejection. Again and again, something begins to change inside them. They stop initiating. They stop touching. They stop trying. Not because they stopped caring, but because rejection becomes too painful. This is when emotional detachment begins. Ironically, this is often the moment when their partner finally senses something is wrong. Because the man who once pursued her is suddenly gone emotionally. What men in their 50s should do. If this situation sounds familiar, gentlemen, it's time to wake up. You have to be honest. Tell your wife how you feel. Tell her about the loneliness. Tell her about the pain of feeling rejected again and again. Don't hide behind embarrassment. You are not the only man experiencing this. In fact, it's far more common than people admit. But you have 2 choices. Speak up, or slowly lose the marriage. Leaving will feel easier in the moment, but it can tear families apart. So fight for the relationship first. Stay respectful. Stay calm. But make it clear that something needs to change. And if the conversation goes nowhere, suggest speaking with a marriage counselor. And if she won't go alone. Because many couples who finally sit down with a professional hear the same thing. I didn't realize it was this bad. Which means the message was never fully heard. The 60-second reflection. There comes a moment in many men's lives when the noise quiets down and the truth becomes hard to ignore. You're sitting somewhere ordinary, maybe in the car, maybe at the kitchen table, maybe lying awake at night, and a thought crosses your mind that you can't push away anymore. Is this really how the rest of my life is going to feel? Not full of passion, not full of warmth, just distance. You remember what the relationship once felt like. The laughter, the affection, the sense that the 2 of you were building something together. And now the house can feel strangely quiet. Even when someone else is in the room. That's a lonely place for a man to be. Not because he wants perfection, but because he still believes relationships are meant to feel like partnerships. And when that feeling disappears for too long, something shifts inside a man. He begins to understand something very clearly. Life is not endless. And the years we have left deserve real connection, not quiet emotional distance. Gentlemen, intimacy isn't just about sex. It's about connection, desire, and feeling wanted by the person you chose to spend your life with. But silence destroys marriages. If something is wrong in your relationship, don't wait until resentment builds a wall between you. Speak honestly. Fight for the connection. Because the second half of life should be strong, and strong relationships require courage, honesty, and communication. Gentlemen, let me ask you an honest question. Have you ever felt lonely while sitting right next to the person you married? If this conversation resonates with you, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts in the comments.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.